Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren. In today's episode, I have Rachel. She is a professional and licensed massage therapist. Welcome, Rachel. I'm so excited for this conversation. So, can you share with us on how your journey as a licensed massage therapist led you to adding additional modalities for holistic health to your clients, both locally and now virtually?
Yes, thank you for inviting me and having this time with you. Um, my journey as a massage therapist, professional and licensed, has been remarkable. I started doing it when I was like a little child, and I was told that I had a gift for it naturally. So ever since then, probably like 3 or 4 years of age, I um I just was told that like that's gonna be it for me. So I started to just like continue on with that. And a lot of the different modalities was really fun too because massage is very repetition. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but people have different like body types and different pain, and that's what you have to really manage and kind of like accommodate to them. More to say, but the modalities are really fun to use too because it actually helps us work smarter versus harder, and it allows you to feel the relief smarter versus harder. It's a lot less pain for you. Why I'm opening it up to virtual appointments is to bring body consciousness not just to people that are active in receiving massages, but also people who are wanting to receive therapy that do not want that natural touch. And that's okay. I'm not gonna like judge anybody for it. We all have our different like energy fields and things that we are going through. And massage is supposed to be a very like trusting type of thing. So we just want to be able to bring you therapy in the ways that you deserve because you do deserve relief.
I love that. And until you said that about, the massage therapist part and like touch and like trust and all that stuff, I took myself back to I used to love getting massages, and I never really connected those two together until recently. Back in August, my one of my friends that I've always like connected virtually with, I'd never physically met her in person, and she tried to hug me and I hugged her, but I guess my energy, she was very intuitive too. She was like, "You did not want to hug," and I was like, "But I hugged you." And then I was like, "Okay, I can't really. I have to say, I don't really like to be touched." And so when you had said that, I thought to myself, "Oh, I have a." Experience that happened to me too, but then I never really understood it. And then coming back to like protecting my energy, making sure nobody comes into my energy, because I really feel like people don't realize. I said this like before we got on to record, like people don't realize the energy that they put out. And not and sometimes you have to trust that energy. And if somebody's trying to give you a hug, who knows what type of energy is attached to them that now they're just giving to you. So I really like that you are starting to do this virtually, because I feel like it's going to benefit a like collectively, like just you can serve so many more people than just one-on-one, because I mean for you that's I'm sure very very draining. You only can do so many clients a day, right? But virtually you might be able to do more. So I love that, and you can serve more that way too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I can't wait. I'm getting chills talking about it.
That means it's supposed to happen.
Yes, yes. I've also been manifesting to have peace become my income, right? And
Yeah,
so bringing massage services, not just to me, but virtually, that's bringing more peace. And
right.
that's a win for them. That's a win for me. I mean, if money didn't really matter, I wouldn't really care to even have money. Like I just think that it would be really fun to do because it's a matter of people wanting to experience their trust and their love for themselves. And
Right.
maintenance is such a huge thing because massage is just not a physical thing. It's a mental, emotional, it's a spiritual and soul nourishment that you need. It's filling your cup up before you fill up others too. And I think that like having me being able to teach more than one person at a time within the hour or the hour and a half, um, it will really be mind blowing to them and be very impactful to their life to coordinate peace daily.
Yes, yes, because I mean, and especially it don't doesn't matter when we're recording this. It does. Everybody needs, like when I ask people what peace feels like to them, they can't put it in words because the peace that the collective or society tells us that we should feel is not the is not the peace that is like real peace. Like, you know,
Yeah.
especially I said this, I must have said this to my boyfriend or somebody else. I said, for people that grew up in chaos, peace actually feels like boredom. So boredom is not bad. I understand that there's, in some perspectives, boredom can lead to other things, but I'm not bored and I feel peaceful, but I'm also not in chaos either. But I know what that feels like because I, grew up in chaos. I mean,
Mhm.
that chaos energy, I shouldn't say it was complete chaos, but I have like trauma around that, and sexual trauma and all of that stuff, and I feel like that all time, emotional trauma, all that ties into all of that. And now that I can like actually be a there could be a peaceful moment in my life every single day. I'm not saying that my whole life is peaceful, but
Yeah.
you know, I can find that peace in every single, even if it is a chaotic moment or a conflicted moment that I'm dealing with, I always can look at, yeah, like a different perspective and be like the observer of what's going on here versus it affecting my own personal energy. So I love that you would be teaching that because I feel like collectively it's very, very important, especially now with this chaotic, literally chaotic energy. All
Yes.
the things going on in the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
So, so your approach seems to be very positive spiritually and like for accountability. What are some of these elements that shape your therapy sessions and the outcomes that some of your clients have experienced?
So, um, I've worked in 3 different states, and it's helped me learn that they're everybody's different, right? I've mentioned that, but I'm saying like everybody is different in the state, the origin of what that state brings. So what was your question one more time before I digress?
Sure. So your approach, I said your approach seems to be like centered around positivity, spirituality, and like accountability. So how do these elements shape your therapy sessions and the outcomes that your clients experience?
So yeah, so I have worked in a lot of different states, 3 to be specific, and what allows them to have the therapy that I give and the investment of it is the trust more so because I let them know like, hey, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't work harder versus smarter. I work smarter for you and for me because it is a lot of manual therapy and body positioning. They call it body mechanics when we're in session. A lot of my clients have had emotional releases, have had mental releases. And what that portrays is your body holds emotions. I'm actually reading a book right now called The Emotion Code, but your body holds emotions. And through massage and through the tension, those stressful situations, the trauma, any of the emotions that you've had before you were born are held with you, and you have to figure out how to release that, and we are an aid for that. So they do trust me because of my longevity of my career. They trust me because I love educating myself continuously. Like I just researched and watched a few training videos. Um, I watched the foot reflexology, the Ayurvedic holistic and philosophy, and the chakra systems. I knew a little bit about the chakra systems, but it kind of opened up my eyes to figuring out like how do I just work the foot without working the body if they feel more comfortable with the foot, you know?
Right.
So it's adapting to a lot of different things for them, but they entrust me because of my investment in education in the human body. I don't just want to just solve one thing for them. I want to solve A through Z for them, like
Right.
if I can't release your shoulders, let me go to the feet. I'll fix it there. Or having it be multiple times of palpation. So usually in a massage, it's anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes on a section, depending on the focus areas and what they want emphasis on. Um, but usually like you time manage that. And so if something's not right in their shoulders, then I'm gonna figure out how to work on the hip to release the shoulder, or how to release the shoulder by working on the pec or the neck, or like all these different things. And like if I can't figure out in that one session, I tell them, I'm gonna do this research for you. I'm gonna go hit the books for a little bit, maybe like for a full day, half day, or whatever. But that's that part of them trusting me to get to what I need to solve for them.
I love that. And I love that I kind of got into I think I forget. I don't know if it was a client that was asking me this, and I don't know anything about massage therapy, so I'm asking for myself too, and anybody else that's listening. But I
Okay.
didn't realize that your feet. I mean, it makes sense because I'm really in tuned with doing energy work and the chakras and all that stuff. But the root is the main like is our that chakra is from like zero holds like from like your age zero life to seven, so it's like everything that happened in that times period, that is where that energy is stored. Same thing with like every single chakra, right? So I was like taking myself back to like my inner child and like inner child stuff, and I was like, wow, the same thing happened with your sacral. That is your sex organs. If you have sexual trauma, if all of your emotional stuff, it sits there. So your hips are going to hurt, and I'm like, why are my hips constantly hurting? And then you had literally just said about my shoulders, and the other day I felt like, oh, I just slept wrong, but my hips were hurting again, and then my shoulders started hurting. So when you had just said that, I was like, oh, duh, that's why. Obviously, if I were to get a massage to release something, something would be released, right? So I
Yeah.
love that you just said that, because I feel like women in general, they just always hold, most of us, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, hold our emotions in our hips, or something along those lines, which is why I decided to become a yoga instructor, because yoga had, like is what healed a lot of my sexual trauma, of course, as much as I could, and,
Yeah.
stretching every day. And then, I thought to myself, oh, I haven't been doing yoga in the morning anymore. Like it was like a couple days of like me not doing yoga every single morning. Well, that's why my
Hmm.
hips hurt, So it's like just having that awareness, that conscious awareness of like, this is what helps me. I feel like really makes, I mean, it makes a difference for me. And I'm sure people listening definitely would say, okay, I need to go get a massage if it's from you or working with you, virtually, or, something like that. I feel like that information definitely could really help.
You would be my first client virtually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. But yeah, it really is. So you were talking about how like the hips and the shoulders are connected.
Mhm.
That's all about like kinetic chains, and that's another like I don't know if it's like an actual modality. I think it's just more information. Um, the more you are in your career, from beginning to intermediate to advanced, or even expert level. But I read this book. I don't know exactly what the title is because I'm still trying to find it because actually got me caught on into kinetic chains. And I love working kinetic chains. What that refers to is diagonal lines in your body. Anywhere from your feet to your head, there's one whole line that's connected there. So it's kind of like inner webs, inner lines that you have that you can actually like release a little bit more on because your body needs to move. If your body does not move, you're not breathing. Your muscles are not breathing. You're not getting proper blood flow. That's what um, makes areas on your body, aside from the emotional storage that we carry, that's what holds that pain, that tenderness. And when your muscles are tender, vulnerable, inflamed, that's what tells you go do something about it. Go stretch, go hydrate more, go eat something super healthy, go get more sun, go do something that's gonna actually help um bring blood flow to that area because it's not. You don't want to you don't want to touch the area, but like you also do need to touch the area because it's a matter of like bringing that blood flow back. And I
Right.
think that's the difference between people. Um, a lot of people that don't know that, and I'm like, you have two different forms of breathability. Your organs for your body need to breathe, but your muscles need to breathe through the blood vessels.
I was gonna say, I think you just taught me that because I mean, it makes sense that you say that, but I realized that lately I haven't been moving my body as much. And I felt like I always say this, like, I feel like just my stress, I usually hold it in my shoulders. So it's like, I know there's just certain, like, in my life that there's been stressful situations that I can just feel it in my shoulders. And I have not been doing my yoga, like moving my body. I mean, obviously I've been moving, but I, it's yoga that helps me release that stuff. I mean, a massage too. that, but it's really quick. Like I could just stretch doing yoga or something like that because, um, you know, and I'm not going to call myself a yoga expert. I just started doing, I mean, I am a certified yoga instructor, but, I just started doing yoga because I, wanted to, I was online and I was like, oh, if you do this yoga pose, you can do this and you can come in alignment and you do all this stuff. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize how like healing yoga could be just every day, like even 5 minutes, like even stretching for 5 minutes. I didn't realize how, if you continue to do it's a huge difference from not moving at all. So it makes
Yeah,
a lot of sense that your muscles have to breathe. And if they're not breathing or you're not nurturing them, then, just like, you're going to tense up. And just like if you were stop breathing, what would nothing, things would die. You would die, that kind of thing.
right.
So, like, you wouldn't be here.
For real.
Awesome.
I'm
Literally.
happy to teach you that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that was just a more blunt way of saying what you were saying.
Yes.
So, your passion being, to help communities find peace. Can you share some stories or examples, like through your maybe your therapy sessions that have positively impact maybe groups or even individuals?
Um, yes, I think it's if anything, it's just more like how resourceful I am. Like if I don't know something, I want to go learn that. I want to go um invest that time. And it doesn't have to just be like 20 minutes. It could be a whole research project for like weeks on end, you know? It just like really depends on how big it is. Like for it to be like, oh, how should I release this muscle if I can't do it this way? Because we do get up in different sizes. Um, because we do deal with different sizes and such. The impact that I feel like I bring to people's life is um teaching them how to be resourceful, like in sessions. They kind of really vent to me more than anything. I think of people think of us as like the talking therapist, even though we didn't go through psychology. But that's okay too, because that just tells that's another indication that they trust us, mentally and emotionally, aside from a physical trust. um so I think that like this question really did like grab me in such a way. I'm trying to figure out the words to say. I'm trying to think of all the different examples.
Oh.
It's a good question. Great question. Thank you for asking. Um, I feel like it's also like, okay, so what I impact on my clients is to be resourceful, to um, kind of like innate peace or control to have more peace in your life. And also I'm a very philosophical person. So I am very positive, as you mentioned. And I think that like bringing certain perspectives to them is helpful, you know. Like I'm trying to be more frugal and some kind of like teaching some of my clients to be more frugal as I'm going through my own chapters of my life.
Yep.
Especially because when they start talking to me and becoming that's them trying to build that personal relationship with me. And I give energy that is given back to me. Like I like to return that.
Mhm.
Um, so there's some people like as we're going through inflation now, I've learned that you can actually make garlic powder from the garlic shells and the
Oh,
egg powder from the eggshells. And so that's a resourceful thing for me to learn that I can teach to other people too. Um,
right,
because it's also a matter of like what can sustain you now, like yeah, like
right,
if you have a garden, um you can plant seeds and such, but you're not going to see that grow until a week's time. But you
right,
being resourceful now is going to sustain you to build that garden much more proudly. You're going to have a lot more intelligence because you've experienced um, trial and error already through like the small things. And that's going to be something that's going to allow people to open their mind just as much as they open their hearts, just as much as they're opening their body to me, for me to relieve them, for me to relax them, whatever it may be, you know what I mean? But it has a lot of um intention to build your perspective and how you experience your own personal things for your perspective to even be more stable. Sometimes that deals with, like with our mental health. Like your perception is everything is what I'm really trying to get at. And I think
yeah,
that's
I was
like what I
gonna
kind of like deep.
say, yeah. Yeah, I
Yes.
was gonna say, yeah, yeah, it seems like you're trying to say that, yeah, like you said, your perception and your point of view is everything. Um, because and speaking about that, I personally did not even realize that that was all intertwined with massage, like therapy. Now, you're the first massage therapist I interviewed, but I just I didn't realize that. I didn't know it was that deep. It was more of like the things that you don't know that people do. Even if like getting my, because when I worked my career, I was a high risk OB ultrasound tech. So I use my body every single day with the 10 clients, patients, the 10 patients that I did. And I worked, I worked, Monday through Friday, so my shoulders, like I remember my shoulders. I think that's where some like of the trauma comes from, because I remember my shoulders like not being able to move my shoulder on Friday. I had to go get cupping. I had to do all of this stuff, especially like ergonomics, and they teach you all that in school. But sometimes you forget about that when you're doing like the job. So it's like I had a massage therapist that I went to every single week that did cupping. And she would she started to tell me all of this. And I was like, I wonder if mine is, and I since stopped going to her, but I just realized that when you were saying this, she was trying to teach me about my body and how, I was holding on to stuff. Like she would ask me about my childhood and ask me different stuff. I'm like, why is she asking me this stuff? Like, why, how do you know any of this stuff? Like, but now that you say that, I'm like, wow, it was my perspective being so, not that it wasn't, I think I was just so unaware. Like it was just, at that point, I was just so unaware, going through my own issues and, going through, an abusive relationship and all that stuff, that I didn't want to really explore that. So when you say, especially, somebody's perspective and you're able to help them with that, I think that's huge, because people don't want help with their perspective. Like the average
Mhm.
person does not want help with that. And I feel like, just knowing the energy, like, I don't know if you know much about human design, but when, the energy about your own energy and how you're supposed to respond to people, how you're supposed to like, make decisions and all that stuff, and just about your own energy and chakras and astrology and all that stuff, that it all plays in together. And the awareness that you can learn about yourself, you also can learn about other people. And it's just mind blowing how the average person is so unaware. Like I wish I could help everybody become aware, but it's like I
Mhm.
can't, because again, they don't want to. If they don't give you that permission, they have free will, like, to not be aware. But I feel like to
Yeah.
bring people, I think I should give more credit to society, though, a little bit, that I feel like more people are wanting to become aware of what's going on because of what's going on, so they want
Yeah.
to do that. So but when I talk to other people, other spiritual people, other, energy healers, people that, serve other people, they agree. They're like, no, Lauren, the average person just does not care. Like, they just don't care. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but there's some people that do care. And they're like, but that's not the average person, So it's like, okay. All right.
Yes. Yes. And like for I don't mean to like be an example. I don't like to gossip as much. But one of my coworkers the other day was just like talking about something, and this answer just sort of a perception just made me realize that like her perception's not in a healthy state, like
Yeah.
you're not there because it really is. Your mind is so powerful. Like
Yeah.
from being so conscious and having like a spiritual journey from everything that has happened and not in my life and like other people's lives as well,
Yeah.
it really is a an understanding that like your perception really is key. Your mind is mind over matter, like you can do whatever you want to do, but how does your mind tell you that? Like, is it your inner voice telling you that you can't? And if it is telling you that you can't, squash it. You don't need to listen to that. That's not your demon that's going to move you forward. That's not something that's going to propel you, that's going to hold you back.
Yeah.
You have the keys to unlock this gate. You haven't lost the key. Are you gonna open it or are you gonna keep it closed or are you gonna stare at it? Like what are you gonna do with this key? And like that's the most important thing because like a lot of people they like to have control, inner control, things that are
Yeah.
external you can't really have, but things of
Yeah.
like internal control is what people do want to have. And you have that control for your perception of what you want your life to be. And it becomes so beautiful when you start realizing what your purpose really is, how you want to work
Yeah.
for yourself and have your own business. Like some people may not be right for that, as what you were saying earlier. And
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like you have to be prepared for you to just as much as you need to take that next step, but also start something new too. You have to be ready for that. And every position in life or placement in life propels you to a different step that enables you to grow or not grow. Like, are you going to face this or you're not going to face it? Like the growth is really up to you and your perception.
Yeah, I think, and I love that we're actually having this conversation, because I love consciousness. I love all point of view, because I remember past versions of myself that I can now relate to people that don't have that awareness, or maybe they're just not. I feel like my journey this last probably 5 years has been trying to understand why people are the way they are, and who they are, and why they are here. Like, I always want to know about people. I want to know what their story is. Well, I mean, in the realms of like their own boundaries. Like, they don't gotta tell me everything, but I am just very interested. I'm very curious. Like, I've always been like that. And now that I have a a place in my authority, or my, like, in society, that I have the ability to ask those questions. I mean, I haven't always been like this. People, always are like, oh, well, you have this or you have that. It's just like, I always tell people, don't look at my social media and think that I'm some popular chick. Like, I don't have millions of followers. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have millions of clients, hundreds of clients, like, I'm not that person. I just am very authentic, when it comes to, I'm just going to tell you where I'm at. And the same thing with my clients. I actually just had this conversation with one of them. I speak on my podcast. I speak very authentic. I tell the guests, or I tell my story, or, and it's like, it's part of me, like my ego part of me is like, don't tell them that. Don't tell them that it's not safe, or, like you said about, how does your mind speak to you, right? Right? Like, how does your, and it's more about like, um, for me, I'm going through the shamanic journey right now. So it's interesting, because I realized I always gave my ego this bad I hated my ego. I didn't want to be, like I didn't want my ego, and I just wanted my higher self, and it's like you can't have that. You you need your ego too. And then I
Yeah.
became friends with my ego, and I had to understand it, and I needed to figure out why I didn't like my ego, or I hated, because at one point in my life I hated myself. So you know, I realized, well, I can't do that. So I have to do this, that kind of thing. And I realized through this shamanic journey that it's not my ego that's the problem. It's my unhealed parts that I wasn't aware of, like my trauma, my unhealed wounds, and stuff that's from past lives, and stuff that's ancestral, and stuff that's generational. And it's like people are, all of that stuff. And I was like, wow, this is even a deeper level of healing.
Hmm.
And then there's some parts in weeks that I went through and still go through now, because this is, the shamanic journey is a long lifetime journey. So it's not like it just stops.
Yeah.
I don't magically feel like a superhuman, that's not what it is. Even though there's
Yeah.
some parts of it, some weeks I'm like, okay, I don't, why am I doing this? Why did I decide to do this? But,
Yeah.
for me early on, it was I was pushed to my purpose very quickly. And it was, and not that I'm going to relate astrology or any of my zodiac signs to, you know, what I'm talking about, but me being like, an Aquarius, we don't like change, and we're very stubborn, and it's like we're very good at just shutting off our emotions, right? Like it's like that's the characteristics normally of an Aquarius. So
Yep.
and we're people that don't need a lot of people around us, and we just like to be alone, and it's like I love people and I love humanity, but I don't like anybody. Like that's kind of how it is. I have to be completely honest. I love humanity. I have such a deep, very huge burning passion for people, like just humanity in general, but I don't really like to be around people. So,
Yeah.
I mean, usually an Aquarius would understand that, and most people would understand that. And it's just because I know my purpose, and I feel like when people know their purpose here, and there's sometimes, some days, some weeks, some months, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, do I really know anything? And I realized none of us here know really what we're doing. We're all just trying our best. So I have to always give myself grace. And in those moments of, like when you were talking about your coworker, I always tell myself I need to just give them grace, because I guarantee you they are not even aware of what they're even saying, doing, or acting. So I'm very good at making people aware, especially if it's projected towards me. I will make them very aware. So I will just speak up for myself. Now, I was never like that because I didn't like conflict or drama. So
Hmm.
I always used to tell myself, oh, if I say something, that's going to create conflict. But then I realized throughout this journey, especially these last couple of years, that if I don't speak up for myself, they're going to treat me the way they want to be treated. And if I don't show them how to treat me, they're going to treat me like that, right? And
Yes.
I don't think people realize that. And I took, a lot of shame and guilt and, resentment for that. And then I realized I was constantly back in this rabbit hole of feeling like I hate everybody again. And then I'm like, I don't hate myself, but I hate everybody else. And it was like I realized those patterns of what I was doing through a lot of like you said, emotional work. I feel like that's where it came up for me, especially um just validating the point of you doing emotional work with your clients is huge, because most people I know, my generation, you know uh like emotional regulation was not taught to us. So having a 4.5-year-old daughter, when I became a mom, I was like, how am I supposed to be a mom? You know, understanding, you know, my mom was unemotionally unavailable. My dad was emotionally unavailable. So how am I going to change that generational trauma to now be emotionally available for my daughter? But I actually first had to be emotionally available, so for
Hmm.
myself. And then I could do that. And I feel like now there's tons of resources and tons of like help out there, which I love that, because I didn't know what I was doing. Like I didn't know how to not kind of drip that generational trauma on my daughter,
Yeah.
subconsciously, not even realizing I was doing it. So I love I love that you gave that example, because I feel like somebody needed to hear it. I just went on a rant about that, and somebody needed to hear it.
Yeah. No, it's really important too because like finding that balance,
Yeah.
not for your personal, but also for parenting, and like when you do bring in a child, like this is a innocent gift that you have to like reteach. And like I'm also in the process of like breaking generational patterns and family curses and such.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
exactly know what you mean too by that.
Yeah.
But having balance is such an important thing because it allows you to understand the bad and then also understand like what the good is too. So I, and that's not just um for like how your body feels, it's of your mind. It's omni is everything about your well-being, and that's what we have to maintain day to day in order for us to be healthy.
Yes. And as soon as you get stuck in this loop of I don't know what's going on, your body and like you can feel it. I feel like and you'll have to tell me about this if your clients, maybe they give you this feedback or maybe you can even ask them, but do they feel it in their body first or do they tell or even if they tell you this, do they feel it in their mind? Like what do you think or maybe if you know this, what do you think that they struggle with the most when if obviously you can feel it in their body, um
Yeah.
but when and then I'm sure you ask them and talk to them about how they're feeling. Does it connect like when they're what they're talking about, you feel it also in their body too, or is it the opposite?
Um, I feel all of it, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I listen to the breath.
Okay.
Um, I listen to their breath more to see like how their body is really responding.
Okay.
Sometimes what they're thinking of, what they are thinking of actually kind of like diminishes the entire session within like the palpation and such. So
Okay.
if I feel like their body is resisting therapy, I just ask them take 3 deep breaths continuously,
Okay.
exhale and exhale, and then if it's hard for you to like take out from where you are thinking of, think
Mhm.
about what your paradise looks like. What do you want like your life to look like? And I feel like once when I bring that, I don't do it to a lot every patient, but I do it to the ones that are a little bit more like stubborn, hard-headed, like I need to feel this. So I'm
Yeah.
like, just relax, like you're here to lay down, you're here to relax, like no stress is gonna happen to you right now in this moment. Like be present. So I feel like their body listens to me first,
Okay.
but depending on how they are with their mind might react after or before, depending on how present they really are. And
Yeah.
then their emotions are just always more mutualized, I feel like, with me. Because I can tell through the body, like, hey, you have some tension right here. Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do to yourself? Tell me, please.
Yeah, I was just always it was a question that I always was just very curious about, and literally it just popped in my mind to ask you because I was curious for myself, and I know a lot of people listening would also be curious because like I said before, I didn't realize how connected it all was, and I was thinking to myself, well, wait a second. If your body, like you said, could respond first, obviously your mind could try to take over, and then you have to add in these emotions, too. So it's
Mhm.
like what I didn't know if maybe if you could calm their body down, then maybe their mind calm down or vice versa. Or I was just curious of, you know,
So that's thank you for asking that question too, because I've never really been asked that question now that I realize it. And I loved it because it's a matter of like when I start my sessions, I like to rock the body. I like to rock to see
okay,
how how the body tells me. Like it gives me feedback. It's like, okay, like if you have full mobility in the rocking, then you're flexible in that area. You have breathability in that area. But if you're a little bit stubborn and you move like just slightly, okay, I need to focus on this area aside from what you already told me. And if I have people that are just not wanting to be in the moment at all,
mhm,
that's when I go to the feet. When I learned about the foot reflexology, they have layers and layers of fascia, and that's how the feet are so reflexive and are so reflexive to the body, hands, feet, and ears. And the feet actually has a map of the entire body that it has the entire map of the body that you can actually like work on too, for anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, depending on the session that you have. But if you work on the feet first with most people, you're not gonna have to, their body's not gonna resist you. Their mental is not gonna resist you. Their emotions are not gonna resist you because that's them fully entrusting you by working on the feet because you have everything in the body in the feet. And I think that that's like so remarkable.
Yeah.
Now me just learning this, I'm like, dang, like let me,
You go get a foot massage.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like, your whole body feels that. And I love that it's like a unity type of thing because
Yeah.
it's not like piece by piece that like most massage therapists in their beginning careers. They go piece by piece. Oh, let me get your arm, let me get your back. If you work collectively in unity, you don't have those missing gaps. You don't have those like, okay, are they gonna do my arm? Because I already did your arm. Are they gonna do my back? Like, are they gonna focus on things that I need to be focused on, you know?
Yeah.
So it's performance based for the massage therapist to know that. And I do wish that a lot of therapists can be taught that. It just
Yeah. I
happens on
think
their
that that is
journey
huge.
more than.
I think that that is huge, and it makes sense of when you said the feet because, I mean, I've seen those feet pictures, and it's like sometimes I'll be like push here, and it's like my belly hurts or whatever. So like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I noticed, and the only reason why I noticed is because I broke both my ankles. What was it, a couple years ago now? It was when literally when I first started my journey of all of this, and I thought, I'm going to resist. I'm going to keep running away from my life. I'm going to keep doing all this stuff. I'm going to keep, this. I'm going to keep doing the things I know I shouldn't be doing. And the universe was like, nope, you are not moving. And I broke both my ankles and tore both my ligaments in my foot. So
Mhm.
of course I needed to figure out. I then was like, well, what did I do? What did I affect? And I've always really took care of my feet, which makes sense of why people buy really comfortable shoes and they're expensive. And it's like I don't care as long as because I was always on my feet a lot. And I just always took care of my feet. And now I'm like I was the one that would go get pedicures and I would get the most expensive one because I wanted all of it and like the detox and all this stuff. And then when I couldn't walk, I thought to myself, wow, now I had to took like you said, take it from a different perspective of if I would have just listened, this would, like that whole thing, this wouldn't have happened and all that stuff. And
Mhm.
recently my where I had fractured or I had tore both ligaments has been really painful. And I feel like, it's that scar tissue. And I'm like, huh, now that you're saying about massage the feet and all that stuff. But it's the same area of it's like right on the arch. Do you know what area in the body like right on the arch affects?
On the arch of the foot.
Yeah,
So
like it's like
that,
my ligament from my big toe to the heel. It's like, where the arch
so
is, it's all right there.
so you actually have I don't have my
Maybe?
picture with me. Um, 1 second.
You don't have to get out. I was gonna say I was just curious because I have two big um um
I'm a
bubble. It
I'm
feels
a
like bubbles of like scar tissue, and then what I just noticed it recently. They
for
feel like
sure.
waterfalls.
Okay, so I believe that it is actually in the ridge. So in the when I say ridge, I mean the spine. Um, I'm trying to, okay, so this is like the only foot that we have on here right now. So here's the foot right through here. I'm a visual learner, so I wanted to like bring it to you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so we actually have, this is like the arch right here through here, if you were to be on the side. So
Hmm.
you actually have your spinal cord is sacral all the way up to cervical. And
Oh,
that is one thing that is causing some pain that you're feeling. So it's not just like your spine, but it's also um your, I think it's not the heart and the spleen. I just learned this not too long ago. Let me give me one moment. I think I took a picture of it on my phone. If not, I took a picture on my camera on my laptop. Yeah, I didn't. Um, but I do know that it's in your spine. I'll have to look it up just to double make sure that I'm not giving you wrong information.
Mhm.
Um, but I know that it is one of like the two connections that has like a little line. I think it's
Mhm.
like to the stomach. This no, not the stomach.
I think
The
you
spleen
said
and something
stomach.
else.
I think when I looked it up online, I think it was something with my stomach, but I've been dealing like I'm an emotional eater, so I keep constantly messing up my gut and I keep constantly like and then but my feet will hurt and like if or they'll get swollen or like something with my stomach will happen, like something will happen that I'm like, like because now I have to really focus on when I'm emotional, stop eating my emotions and like actually address the emotion versus using food for that. I feel like
Mhm.
I'm one of those people that constantly go up and down in my weight because it's either I can, when I'm really good, when I'm really happy, my body shows it. When I'm really kind of like, oh, going through a hard time, my body also shows it, So, but now I'm learning that I don't need to do that to my body still. Like, or again, I can just kind of deal with the emotion and like release it, like you said. But I was just curious because I'd noticed that my foot again was acting up, and then when I push on it, it has these two little it's just scar tissue. I had it looked at. It was just a scar tissue from the way that because it didn't complete like I didn't need surgery on my
Mhm.
ligament, but it almost completely like snapped like like the rubber band, like the tension.
Yeah.
The way that it just healed and guessed in a ball. I don't know. It's weird.
So if you're feeling pain on your foot, I'm gonna double check to reference that and I'll let you know. I'll send you a picture of what I have of what I learned.
Oh, okay.
But if you're feeling pain on your feet, just apply ice in those areas that you feel like the big balls are,
Okay.
around the scar tissue too, and that will kind of help reflex it, um,
Oh,
because that will go straight to the area that you're feeling it too. Um,
oh,
and that's one of my favorite modalities too, like in massage, is to do hydrotherapy. So it's cold applications, and I like cold applications because it actually restores the muscles. It hydrates your body as well, and it actually erases the inflammation that you have. It's kind of the same feeling that you go whenever you go into like a cold pool.
or like
You
like the ice bath. Yeah, I was gonna say I've been doing
Yes.
actually doing the ice baths again. I used to do them all the time, like for my nervous system and stuff, and it really did help with the inflammation in my body, and especially like the stuff that I've been eating too has really helped. I feel like a lot of people on this spiritual journey inflammation has been really bad for a lot of people, I feel like, and that
Hmm.
is like the stuff that we don't know what we're eating anymore. If it's not like if you're not growing it, who knows what's in it, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, I definitely feel like that. I'll definitely do that, so thank you for
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
that. So
I'm happy to be here.
just wrapping up here, how can the listeners connect with you to learn more about your services, or even if they whatever, if they heard something in our conversation today, how can they connect with you locally or virtually, because there's people that listen all around the world, so maybe somebody's in Texas that can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can actually I'll give you my Facebook. Um my Facebook massage account is Azure Therapy
Okay.
Massage, Azure, therapy THERAPY, I'm gonna be rebranding it pretty soon to Soothie Now, so you're gonna see that. But you can
Okay.
also email me if you want to. Um, my personal email is RACHIETAY19 at gmail.com. I would love to talk more about any questions that you may have because I love to talk and I love
Me
to
too.
just learn from other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like if you want to be Facebook friends, my username for that is Rachie RACHIETAY.
Okay. I'll also make sure that all of that, your email, your link to your massage page, Facebook page, and all of your social medias are in the description box if they or if they are watching the video on YouTube. Um I'll make sure both places are there so they can connect with you if they
Okay.
feel called to.
I can send that information to you too to make it easier.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, thank you for everybody listening and joining us on today's episode of the On the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe. You can leave a review and share with somebody that you feel that will gain knowledge from listening. Stay tuned for more conversations in the future. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time.